This video is going to show you how to create a simple redirect using your cPanel control panel. Now for me, the main reason behind wanting to create a simple redirect is for affiliate marketing. Here's the situation. Let's say I've got a whole bunch of different websites and I've got an awesome offer on these widgets from this particular product creator and he's paying a fantastic commission. So I want to put my affiliate link to his offer on all of my websites because the more traffic I can generate towards his offer through my link, the more commissions I'm going to get. Okay, so all's fine and dandy. 2 years down the line, everything's going great. I'm making a lot of coin off of this affiliate relationship between the two of us. Then all of a sudden, let's say he sells the site and the new owner of that site changes all of the links, maybe he just doesn't promote that product anymore and one thing or another, but that link to that particular affiliate product no longer exists. That means that every single website that I have, and this is maybe a year or two down the line, I don't remember all those websites, but every single website that I have that I had that link on, those are now pointing to a dead link. Talk about embarrassing, but also it's just wasted traffic that I'm sending to his or her website, not benefiting me whatsoever. Actually, it's hurting me. Now then, let's back up. If I were to have used a redirect, the way that I'm going to show you how to create one here in just a minute, if I were to use a redirect, then all I have to do is go in there and point that redirect to a different offer. Then automatically that URL that I had on every one of those websites is automatically now pointing towards that new affiliate offer. I don't have to go into each one of those websites individually and change those links individually. I was smart enough in the beginning to use a simple redirect, so all I have to do now, go in, change one item on one link, bing, bang, boom, it's changed everywhere throughout the internet. Okay, now that's the situation, that's the why, now here's the how. Let's go on into our cPanel control panel, come on down here to the domains panel and click on redirects. Now, there's a few different ways in which you can do this, and you got the video tutorial here, but this is the way that I do it. Now, I want to point out to you, you got two options here under the type. You've got the permanent and you've got the temporary. They're going to do the same exact thing, only the permanent will tell the visitor's browser, just like it says here, to update any bookmarks they may have created on that URL. So it's totally up to you how you want to handle this. Myself, I usually go with the temporary if I'm doing this as the affiliate situation I described a second ago. So I'm going to go with temporary, and I'm going to go with all domains. Again, there's a few different ways you can do this depending upon the setup you have. If you've got a bunch of different domains here, then you might want to just select the one. In this instance, I've only got the one domain, so it doesn't matter either way. Now then I'm going to put the name of the directory here that I'm going to be using on my links. And let's say widgets. Well, you think I've done this before. So this is going to be the URL. It's going to be mydemonstrationsite.com/widgets. That's going to be the URL that I put on all of my websites. And that, when clicked on, is going to point to this URL here, because this is the URL to the affiliate, to the actual product creator's website, where when somebody goes here after having clicked on my link to get there, I've got it set up to where I'm going to get paid a commission if they make a purchase. So in addition to the fact that I have a URL, when at any time in the future I can easily change it by simply coming in here and replacing this, which is maybe down the line a dead link, I can replace this with a new totally different link and it will automatically take place in all the locations that I have this URL. In addition to that, another reason is that maybe this one here is a very long and ugly looking affiliate link like what you might get from ClickBank, and I can replace that, or mask it if you will, with a shorter link that's much easier for somebody to remember, like me. So there's a couple of reasons right there. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and click on the wildcard redirect. That way, anything that I might have in this directory here will also point towards this URL. Again, this is totally up to you how you want to handle this. If you've got a specific file inside of this directory, then you might want to make those adjustments by putting maybe a / and then the name of that file .php or whatever the case. But this is basically an empty directory right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark that wildcard redirect, click on add. Now then, let's give this a whirl. First off, let me show you what this URL will produce. Right here. This is the Okay, I know. But this is the affiliate page. Let's just assume there's a whole bunch of cool, awesome widgets here, and that when the person clicks on my link, they end up here, and they're going to buy all the goodies, and then I get paid commissions. Okay, so that's what they're going to end up at. But they're going to get there by way of my URL. So whenever they click on my URL here on any of my websites throughout the entire internet, they're going to end up here. Pretty cool. And that is how you can create a simple redirect using cPanel. Thank you very much for watching this video. You have a great day. This video is going to show you just how easy it is to create a Google alert. Now, a Google alert is an email that Google sends you when Google finds new results like videos or web pages or newspaper articles or pretty much anything that match your search terms. You can use Google Alerts to monitor anything on the web. For example, you can set up alerts on your name or company name to help you with your reputation management. Now, let me tell you, reputation management is a fast-growing industry, and while I'm not saying all they do is create Google alerts, I am saying that before you spend hundreds of dollars on that type of service, you might want to try this first. And hey, even if you're still going to go with a reputation manager, then what harm will it do to at least do this as well? For free. And there are many other reasons to use Google Alerts besides just knowing what others are saying about you and your company. For example, you can keep up to date on a competitor. You can gather content related to a product that you're researching and much, much more. Anyway, creating a Google Alert is super simple to set up. Let's go ahead and do that now. You want to log into your Google account, and I'm going to be demonstrating this by using a Gmail account. And if you don't have a Gmail account, you really ought to. It opens up the doors to so many free applications that Google offers. And besides, again, it's free. Okay, so I'm already logged into my Gmail account. What we can do at this point is, let me see, I'm looking for a bell up here. No bells. Okay, I'm just going to click on this guy here to get me to Google. You can come on in here to More, or I believe you can even go to google.com, where we're already at, /alerts. I think that'll take us there. Yep, there we are. You can also do the same thing by going into More. The problem with this, though, is that you're going to see all the other goodies that Google offers for free, and you may be distracted, and it could take hours before you get to alerts. Okay, that said, all I want to do at this point is type in whatever search query I want, and it can be just a name, maybe your competitor's name, or maybe the type of dog you're wanting to do a product research on, or anything. So let's say I'm doing some research on a particular dog breed. And as I type that in, it gives you some results right here. Now, technically it's called a Chow Chow, so you might get more specific by typing in the actual name. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, we do get a little bit better results here. And then the result type. Do you want everything related to these search queries? Or you want just that in the news? You want that related to blogs or videos, discussions? I would just go with everything, and then I could always change this later. How often? You've got these options here. And again, these are all personal preferences here. How many? Only the best results, all results. Again, totally up to you. And where do you want it delivered to? If you do not have a Gmail account that you're logged into, then you can just type in the email account that you want it delivered to right here. Or you could hit this and you have it set up into a RSS feed. And here we'll show all of the alerts that you've got created, and you can edit them accordingly. Going back up here, and we click on Create Alerts, and you can click on Edit if you wanted to. You know, at some point down the line, maybe you wanted to change this to a different delivery time frame or a different type of volume. And if we check out the Gmail now, let me see if I've got anything in here. Nope, not just yet. But it won't be long before I get that first email related to that search term. And that's how easy it is to create and manage your Google Alerts. That's going to bring us to the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a great day. Now, one of the most important tasks you're going to need to do on a regular basis is a backup of your online projects like website files or maybe even databases also. Now, on occasion, you might have to restore one of these backups in order to fix your broken website or busted database. This video will cover both the backup and the restore process. Now, once you're logged into your cPanel control panel, In the Files panel, you're going to see a couple of options here, Backups and Backup Wizards. In most cases, you'll see these two options. The Backups, click on that. It'll bring us to this page here, and it's good to read this right up here to let you know that pretty much this full website backup isn't going to do you much good as far as restoring your broken website to its unbroken state. These are only good for archive purposes. So I'm not even going to mess with this. For this demonstration, we're going to go down here and either download the home directory, download one or all of your databases, and or email forwarders and email filters if you have those created. Frankly, I'd want to get a backup of anything and everything related to any and all of my websites. And if you've got a WordPress site created, for example, or any other script that relies on the use of a database, then you're going to want to also download the associated database to that script that's included in the home directory backup. So that's why I would just go ahead and download everything into a folder that has a date on it. That way you know that in that folder that's dated that specific date, you have a full backup of everything that was on your web server at that time. Let's go ahead and do this. Just click on Home Directory. Navigate to the location on your computer where you want that file to be downloaded to. And again, I would create a folder, give it a date, maybe label it also backup for such and such, and then click on Save. Now you can see here, it's not your typical .zip file. It's a .tar.gz file. And by default, I do not believe that your Windows decompression software will actually work with a tar or a GZ zip file. You might need to try something like the free 7-zip, which is what I use. It'll unzip anything. Anyway, go ahead and download this. And frankly, you would only want to unzip it if you're curious, because you do not want to restore or upload the unzipped file or folder. Whenever you go to choose the folder or file, that being the home directory, you're going to want to look for the zipped file, just as you had downloaded it. You select on that, click on Open, and it will begin the restoration or the upload process. Now, as far as the specific databases, the same exact thing. You would click on the databases, and I would go with all of them and download them into the same exact dated folder. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this because I think you got the idea. Same with the email forwarders if you've got any of those, and any filters that you've already created as well. And that is how you can quickly and easily get a full snapshot or a backup, and how you can also easily restore from that backup the folders that represent your web server up to a specific date. Now, if you wanted to do this the old-fashioned way, the manual way, you would come into the File Manager, and if you had a specific site that you wanted to back up, for example, I've got a WordPress site here under the dogs directory. Open that up. I would just simply select every one of these files by clicking on this guy right here. It says Select All. Then I'll come on up here and click on Compress. Click on Compress Files. Actually, I would want to give it a name, like, for example, the date, and then maybe tell me what it is. That way I've got the date and the fact that it's a WordPress site and the name of that particular WordPress site, so I know what it is. And then I would simply compress the files, and it's not going to do any harm to the site itself, because what it's going to do is, let me go ahead and reload. It's going to, in addition to having all these other files, it's going to also include this zip file. What I would want to do is get this onto my computer by selecting it, downloading it to my dated folder, so if anything were to happen to my WordPress site here in the future, I could just upload this zip file, and then with it selected, I would click on Extract, and then it would extract all of these folders and files that were contained in this zip file to begin with. Now, with a WordPress site, you also have the associated database, so you would want to download or export that database that's associated to the site. And just to make sure I've got the right database, I would click on the wp-config file, and I'd want to view and see what the database name is. That's the WRDP1. Don't need this anymore. Come on down to my databases in the PHP My Admin, and I'm looking for the WRDP1 database. Click on that. Come up here, click on Export. Make sure it's in the SQL format, because you see there's other ones here too. Just make sure it's in SQL. Click on Go. Everything else is pretty much the way that I want it. And then navigate to the location on my computer where I want that at. And again, that should be the dated folder where my zip file is for that associated WordPress site. Click on Save. Bing, bang, boom. I've got the database, the WordPress site in a zip file. Everything's downloaded and ready just in case my database and or site goes kaplooey. I would be able to fix it in just a matter of minutes, depending upon my internet connection and how fast I can upload those files. And that's it. That's how easy it is for you to do a custom backup and restore, as well as taking advantage of the built-in backup operations of cPanel. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. This video is going to show you how to create a favicon, which is short for favorites icon. In other words, anytime that you encounter or somebody else encounters your website page and they want to save it in their bookmarks or favorites, well, it's going to have a little icon up here in the tab. This is the Chrome browser, by the way, and it's a little bit different in different browsers, but tabs or windows, there's going to be a little icon up here, and in the browser bar here, there's going to be a little icon. And if we open up the bookmark section here, scroll down until we get beyond the folders and into the actual favorites here, you can see how these icons over here next to the website page kind of stands out more than those that do not have the favicon or favorites icons. Well, that's what I'm going to show you how to create and add to your website. And this can be done with a typical HTML website or a WordPress website, but I'm going to show you how to do it with a standard HTML website like this guy here. I just grabbed this out of my hard drive, and it was just a web page that I had laying around, and I've got it under demo. But this is the icon right here that I'm going to have look similar to this. Well, it's not going to look like that, but it's going to have its own icon that we're going to create now. Now, if you do a search online for favicon creator, you're going to have several options to work with. I'm going to show you how to do it with this guy here. It's the favicon.htmlkit.com/favicon. And it's pretty simple too. You've got an image, for example, if you've got a logo that you're working with on your website, that would be a great place to start. I'm just going to use one that I've got just laying around for a cPanel icon. So we want to first go over here to choose file. What a lovely dog. And you want to navigate to the location of your image that you want to turn into your favicon. And that's a pretty big image, by the way, but that's one thing you don't have to worry about because it's going to customize it and bring it down to size. So generate favicon ICO. And there it is. Now if we go back here, let me go ahead and show you that image. I'm going to bring this in. I want to show you just how big that image is. 612 pixels wide by 287 pixels. So you can see it's kind of like that big, but this program brings it down to size. Now, it's probably not the best example, but you can see what it will look like right here as a demonstration. And you've got some other customized options here that you can work with, but I want to try to keep things simple. We're going to go ahead and download as is, and it creates a little zip file for us. Put that in my working folder. And it's not a lot. There's 2 images and a little text document. So let's go ahead and open up that zip file and show you what's inside of it. Again, you've got 2 images here. This is really the only one that I want to mess with. This one here would be animated if you chose to customize your favicon by using the animated GIF, but I didn't, so I'm not going to bother with that one. But if we open this up here, this gives us the instructions on what all to do. Basically, at this point, since we're not going to use the animated GIF, this is the only line of code that we need. So I want to copy that into my clipboard. Now I also need to upload this ICO file into the root directory of that domain. So I'm going to open up my FTP client. I'm going to be using Qt FTP. Now you can do the same thing with the free alternative, FileZilla. And I've already logged into the location of that root directory of that particular folder. And that's this right here. So now I need to navigate to that image, which is desktop working. Here we are. Inside of that folder, and that's the ICO file right there. Upload. Now this is the index.html file that I need to edit and add that code. a little line of code that I've got copied into my clipboard. So I need to put this, just like it says here, in between the opening head tag and the closing head tag. Let me show you where that's at. I can edit this index file while it's live on my server using QtFTP. And you can do the same thing with FileZilla and other FTP clients as well. Click on Edit, and here's the opening head tag. And if we scroll down, we'll find the closing head tag right here. So anywhere in between there, I'm going to go right after the style there and enter it there. And I want to save. And that should do it. Let's go ahead and minimize our FTP client, minimize our folder there. Come on back here and refresh. And it might take some time. This time it was instant, but sometimes it'll take a little bit of time to propagate, as they say, and it might be different in different browsers too. It might not show up in the Internet Explorer browser for 24 to 48 hours. But if somebody were to come to this page right now and click on Save It in their favorites, then it's also going to assign this particular icon or favicon to that web page in their favorites. That way it's going to stand out a lot. So it's just another way in which you can brand your web pages by using a favicon or favorites icon. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on how to create and install your favicon. Thanks for watching. You have a great day. This video will show you how to add functionality and some cool features to your WordPress website by way of adding what's called plugins. If we log into our dashboard area, and you can do that by putting your URL to your website in the browser bar, then typing /wp-admin, and then if you're not already logged in, then it will prompt you to log in by popping up a little box here that asks for your username and your password. Enter those two details and then you'll end up here. At this point, we come over here to plugins, go to installed plugins. This will show you all of the currently installed plugins, and as in this case, if there are new versions available, in which case you could update now. I would go ahead and make it a point to keep all of your plugins, all of your themes, even your core installation fully up to date. It's just a good practice to get in. Now, these are your current list of plugins, or at least my current list of plugins. If you wanted to activate these plugins, or if you wanted to edit them, which until you're really familiar with what you're doing with these programs, I would not mess with that. Or you can also delete the plugins, because even by editing a plugin, it can in fact damage your entire site. So you want to be wary of that little link right there. Now, if you wanted to add new plugins, which is kind of the gist of this video, you come on up here to Add New, or over here under the Plugin subpanel, you can click on Add New here, and that'll take you to the same place, which is here. And you can see the links to the popular tags here. So this can give you an idea as to what a lot of other people are adding to their WordPress website by way of plugins related to Facebook or Google or images and Twitter and widgets and so on. Or if you've got something specific in mind, maybe you read an article somewhere about this particular plugin or that particular plugin, you can type it in here, click on Search Plugins, and it will go to what's called the WordPress.org plugin repository. Now, a little heads up here. Now, there are literally thousands of plugins on the market. Some are better than others. However, there are a few that you would probably want to steer away from. To be on the safe side, when you're first starting out, you really only want to stick with the plugins that can be found inside of the WordPress.org plugin repository. If not, then you want to be a little careful. Now, that being said, there's a lot of premium that being paid for plugins that are fine and dandy that will not be found in the WordPress.org repository, because all of those plugins are free. The ones that I'm referring to be wary of are the free plugins that are not found in the WordPress plugin repository, because those plugins might have some bad code installed on them that once installed on your website, that plugin creator might now have a backdoor access to the inside of your website and may not have good intentions. So you want to be wary of getting free plugins outside of WordPress.org. Okay, all that said, I'm off my soapbox now. Let's go ahead and check out these options. Upload is where you can upload a plugin zip file that's already been downloaded to your computer. featured, popular, newest, and favorites. These are all taking you directly to the WordPress.org repository, or plugin directory, as I guess it's also called. But they're doing so from within your website. So you're never leaving the comfort of your website. Let's try featured. And inside of here, you can see some of the featured plugins. And here you can get the ratings. You can get a bit of a description of that particular plugin. But to install one of these plugins, you just simply click on Install Now. And it'll give you a little message here warning you, are you sure you want to do this? Which is cool, because that way it just gives you a chance to back out if you don't want to. Then you just click on OK. And at this point, the plugin is being installed, but it's not active on your site yet. We go back here to Plugin Installer. And if we go to Install Plugins, because there's a difference between an installed plugin and an activated functioning plugin. Right now, this guy is installed on our WordPress website, but it's not active. To activate it, you just click on Activate right here, and it's good. Or you can select it and then click on Delete. And you'll get this option here to make sure that you do want it deleted. Click on Yes or No, and now you're back to where you were. And that's an explanation of how you can add additional features and functionality to your WordPress website by installing and activating plugins. In this video, I want to talk to you about creating email forwarders. And in the mail panel of your cPanel control panel, what we're talking about is these guys right here, forwarders. Now, while there may be several different reasons why you would want to create a forwarder of your email accounts, my main reason is time, saving time. Time is money, so in this case, I'm going to be saving money too. Now, as far as the forwarders, basically, what I mean by that is that I've got several domains, and each domain I have at least 3 email addresses assigned to that one domain. My name, sales, and support. Now, there may be several other emails, but that would just save me that much more time if I were to forward those also. So I forward each and every one of my emails to a main email account, and that main email account is kind of a catch-all for all my emails. So I need to go to one email address to check my emails, not a bazillion different email addresses, which takes a lot of time. Now, these forwarders, they allow me to see not just the email, but the email address they were sent to. So whenever I reply, then that reply comes from that particular email address, not from the one they were forwarded to. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, that's pretty much the why. Let's go ahead and tackle the how. Go ahead and click on the forwarders link. It's very simple too, by the way. Now, of course, to do this, you have to already have the email addresses created, which is done by clicking on the email account link here. So once you've got your email addresses created and you want to forward them to a different email address, click on Add Forwarder. Choose that email address that you've created, and if you've got several different domains, then you want to make sure you've got the right domain and the right email address that you're going to be forwarding. And this is my name at my domain name. I'm going to forward it to my main Gmail account. Assuming, of course, that would be my main Gmail account. Click on Add Forwarder, and it's done. That's how simple it is. And it shows right here what is taking place. Now, if we go back, there'll be a running list of all the email forwarders that you create here. You can use the trace link, and you can delete them. Now, if you wanted to just not worry about individual email addresses to be forwarded, you can just forward all of them that are assigned to a particular domain name using this option right here, the Add Domain Forwarder. The process is basically the same as adding a forwarder to an individual email address, only this way you're doing it to everything that might come into that domain in the form of an email. And that is how you create an email forwarder. Hi, in this video I want to show you how you can quickly and easily create an email forwarder within your Gmail account. Now, once you've logged into your Google account, and in this case I've logged in using my Gmail account, then you come on over here and you click on Gmail, if you haven't already done so. And once you're in your Gmail account, come on over here to this little gear thingy, click on that. You got a drop down that shows up, go to Settings, click on that. And right up here, you want to go to Forwarding and POP/IMAP. Click on that. Click on Add a Forwarding Address. Type in the address that you want all of your Gmail that comes to this particular email account. Type in the address you want those to be forwarded to. Click on Next. See how simple that was? Now, that's how easy it is. So just using this as a demonstration, you want to make sure that the address you put in that forwarding box is one that you own. But you can see here, though, that you can also resend that, or you can remove it and put in a different one, which naturally, if I were doing this for real, that's what I would do. So once you've confirmed that by clicking on the link that was sent to that email address, then all of the incoming email to this particular Gmail account will now be sent to that email account. Doesn't have to be Gmail. It can be any email account that you own. Now, why would you want to have your emails forwarded? Well, several different reasons. My main reason is that I have several different Gmail accounts, and this way I do not have to log into each and every one of those Gmail accounts to see if I've got new mail. I log into one main Gmail account, or non-Gmail account for that matter, and all of my emails can be seen right there. Again, whether they're Gmail accounts or non-Gmail accounts. And whenever I reply to the people that sent me the email, it's being replied from that particular email account, not the main one. So that way I'm not confusing the people that sent me that email to gardenmaker.com@gmail.com. I'm not confusing them by them receiving an email from joe@gmail.com. They're receiving an email from this email address, even though I'm composing that email from joe@gmail.com. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on creating forwarding email addresses. Thank you very much for watching. You have a great day. In this video, I want to talk to you about creating email forwarders. And in the mail panel of your cPanel control panel, what we're talking about is these guys right here, forwarders. Now, while there may be several different reasons why you would want to create a forwarder of your email accounts, my main reason is time, saving time. Time is money, so in this case, I'm going to be saving money too. Now, as far as the forwarders, basically, what I mean by that is that I've got several domains, and each domain I have at least 3 email addresses assigned to that one domain. My name, sales, and support. Now, there may be several other emails, but that would just save me that much more time if I were to forward those also. So I forward each and every one of my emails to a main email account, and that main email account is kind of a catch-all for all my emails. So I need to go to one email address to check my emails, not a bazillion different email addresses, which takes a lot of time. Now, these forwarders, they allow me to see not just the email, but the email address they were sent to. So whenever I reply, then that reply comes from that particular email address, not from the one they were forwarded to. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, that's pretty much the why. Let's go ahead and tackle the how. Go ahead and click on the forwarders link. It's very simple too, by the way. Now, of course, to do this, you have to already have the email addresses created, which is done by clicking on the email accounts link here. So once you've got your email addresses created and you want to forward them to a different email address, click on Add Forwarder. Choose that email address that you've created, and if you've got several different domains, then you want to make sure you've got the right domain and the right email address that you're going to be forwarding. And this is my name at my domain name. I'm going to forward it to my main Gmail account. Assuming, of course, that would be my main Gmail account. Click on Add Forwarder, and it's done. That's how simple it is. And it shows right here what is taking place. Now, if we go back, there'll be a running list of all the email forwarders that you create here. You can use the trace link, and you can delete them. Now, if you wanted to just not worry about individual email addresses to be forwarded, you can just forward all of them that are assigned to a particular domain name using this option right here, the Add Domain Forwarder. The process is basically the same as adding a forwarder to an individual email address, only this way you're doing it to everything that might come into that domain in the form of an email. And that is how you create an email forwarder. Hi, in this video I want to talk to you about the security panel. Let's go ahead and scroll down and grab this guy right here in the title bar where you get the 4 arrows. Left click, hold, and drag that guy up to the top of the page here, so I don't have to keep scrolling down. Let's do that with this other web hosting account as well. And by the way, if you didn't know, now you do. You can in fact customize the look of your home page on your cPanel account. Now that here we've got these various applications within our security panel. The first one over here is password protect directories. Comes in pretty handy if you've got sensitive material, kind of like maybe zip files that you are marketing, and you don't want just anybody to be able to have access to those unless, of course, they've paid you for that access. Well, here you can put all those zip files or other items you want to keep protected. You can put them in a directory or folder and make sure that that is password protected, and then you just simply email that username and password to the people you want to have access. IP Deny Manager. I myself like to avoid this, but it is there in case you want to use it. What this does, if we click on this link here, this allows you to deny access to your website files by people associated with a particular IP address. Now, let me just try to explain a little bit about an IP address. Where a home address would tell you where a particular person lives, an IP address is more like the zip code where a lot of people live. So if you were to use an IP address to block access for a specific person, well, you may block access for that specific person, but also everybody else that uses that particular IP address or range. And for that matter, they can probably get around it if they know what they're doing by using a proxy IP address. That's way beyond the scope of this video. Basically, what I'm saying is that for somebody that knows what they're doing, an IP Deny Manager really is not going to do much good. So where this might come into play is if maybe your customers or the visitors to your site are predominantly US or Canadian or European, you can put in an IP range for countries that you do not want to have access to your site because they could not be your customers for one reason or another. Then you might assign an IP range like what is shown here to assist in blocking anybody from that country or that region from having access to your files. So really, that would be the only benefit I could see behind using an IP deny feature, but it is here just in case you wanted to. Let's head on back to home. Now you've got the SSL and the TLS manager. This allows you to generate and manage SSL certificates, keys, and signing requests. Now all of these are part of making your website more secure, kind of like this guy right up here. To be able to have your URL do this, where you got this little padlock thingy on the HTTPS, you need to have what's called an SSL certificate. And frankly, for me, it's pretty time consuming to not only learn this, but it's even time consuming once you've learned it to do it. I myself would rather spend a couple of bucks and it might even be somewhere between 20 to 50 bucks to have your web hosting service do this for you. And some might not even charge you anything to do this for you if you purchase your certificate from them. So if you click on this, just real quick, like you can see where you can generate your private key, your certificate signing request, and your certificates themselves. But again, this is something that I would be more apt to leave to the web hosting companies. They would take a day or two to do it, but that day or two you can spend doing something else that might generate you money instead of spending money. But at least now you know where that information lies in case it's something you want to check into, or if somebody has a question about your SSL certificate, you might be able to find an answer there. Now, SSH or shell access. The SSH stands for Secure Shell, which is basically a network protocol, kind of like FTP. Only this guy here is a lot more secure than your typical FTP transfers. So with an SSH access, instead of using a username and a password that you do with an FTP setup, with these guys here, you're using a public key and a private key. Now with the correct keys, networked devices can then exchange or transfer data back and forth. And we take a look at this real quick. You can see here you've got a little video tutorial to kind of guide you through this stuff. And right here is where you can go into manage your private and public keys. Come on back home here. Hotlink protection comes in pretty handy if you have, say, images, for example, on your website that you don't want people to steal, or maybe if they do steal them, no big deal, but you at least ways don't want them to be sucking up your bandwidth. So if they're going to steal them, they should at least steal them and put them on their own server instead of using your bandwidth in the process. Let's take a look at this real quick, because sometimes there's not much you can do about people taking your stuff, but for them to take your stuff and to steal your bandwidth in the process, that's like a double slap in the face. So here's how you can protect your bandwidth. You may not be able to protect your stuff, but you can at least ways to protect your bandwidth by enacting or enabling the hotlink protection. You put in the URLs here to allow access, and here you can create a page, an HTML page for example, that says something to the effect of this person does not have authorization to provide you with the image that should show here. If you want to see that particular image, go to the authorized URL and then just put that URL on there. Again, whatever you want to put in here, if you want to put anything in here at all. You may just block it, so then they would just get an error on their website where they're trying to post that image and take your bandwidth in the process. And here you can put the different types of extensions, whether they're just images or even PDFs or zip files or whatever. Most of the time though, this is just going to be to protect images, and that's why by default you've got the most popular image extensions here. And if you want to check this box here, you can. That allows direct request. Basically, if they enter the actual URL of the image into a browser, then the image would show. Myself, for true protection, I would just put in the URLs to my websites that have these images posted on them and just leave it at that. Make sure that I've got enable checked, and then if I do make any changes here, click on submit, and also make sure I've clicked enable, and then that hotlink protection is activated. So that's hotlink protection. And under leech protection, this is pretty cool, especially if I've got like some outsourcers, people that I trust, to do some work on a particular directory or folder, and I give them username and password access to that folder, and then they turn around and give that information to some of their friends. Well, with Leech Protect, I can put a stop to that. Let's go ahead and click on this guy right here. Let's assume that's the directory that I've given access to. Well, I can put in here a number of login attempts that once exceeded, something's going to happen. So if we put in, say, 4, which is recommended, you can put in whatever number you want. But if we put in, say, 5, and the 6th person tries to log in within a specific amount of time, in this case a 2-hour period, then that 6th person and anybody thereafter will get something other than access based on this information that I put down here. They might get redirected to another URL that I've got set up. The account might be deleted altogether if I check this box here. And I would definitely want to check this box and put in the email address to me so that I would be alerted each time that this took place. And I also have this option down here where I can disable compromised accounts, where basically if this were to take place, then I would get an email alert. They would also, the people after this login attempt would also be sent to a particular URL that I'd set in here, but that account would also be disabled altogether. And then just make sure you click on enable to make that active. And of course, then you can come back in here and disable it if you wanted to. Now let's head on back home here. And GNU PG keys. These are used as a way to encrypt and decipher or decrypt emails or messages through the use of the public and private keys. You know, kind of like everyone would have the public key to my emails and can see the messages or emails, but could not read or know what all that gobbledygook was without the private key. If you take a quick look at this, you can create a new key. Just put in your name, email, nickname, whatever you wanted to put in there, and the key password. Put it in again. I would just use the password generator here. And the expiry date, if you wanted to go with 1 year, 3 weeks, or just whatever you wanted. The key size, 1024, or you really want to get hairy, you can go all the way up to 4096. That's pretty difficult to guess. And then you can click on Generate Key. Or if you've got keys created elsewhere, you can use the import option here. But this is pretty heavy duty. So if you're not really into the spycraft and you're not really concerned with people having that kind of access to your emails, because I mean it's fairly secure for the most part, but if you are really super concerned about the possibility of somebody reading your emails, then you've got this option here. And don't forget, some of these items where I just kind of skimmed over, you've got the video tutorials here which might go into greater detail than what I covered on these individual items. For example, under the IP Deny Manager, just check out the video tutorial here, which might go over more in depth than what I did. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video on the security panel. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. In this video, I want to talk to you about your logs panel in your cPanel control panel. Now I've got two different tabs opened up here to represent two different web hosting accounts and the cPanel control panels within them. For example, this one here, if you go down and look at the logs panel, you can see we've got a few different options available here. But in this one, still cPanel, it's just a different web hosting account. You can see that there are different options available here, or applications. So if your control panel doesn't look exactly like one of these, don't worry. The basics that you really want to pay attention to under the logs panel is the latest visitors, bandwidth, and your AW stats, as well as your error log. Those are more than likely in every single cPanel setup on any type of web hosting account that offers cPanel. Again, latest visitor, AW stats, bandwidth, and error log. The error log mainly because if you have errors on your website, like broken links for example, then this can let you see them very quickly. No errors here, but that's mainly because there's no site there either. Let me take a look over at this other one here, and under error logs, and here's the information provided in most of these error logs. You've got the date that the error took place, you've got the IP address of the visitor that noticed the error, you've got the error right here, which in this case is, I believe, a 404, and you got different types of errors that take place. But if we use this top one here, if we scroll on over, this gives you the path to the actual error itself and the page or file that is causing the error. So with this information, you can quickly get in and fix that error. So we come on back out of here, head on back over to home. That's the error log. The latest visitors gives you the IP address of that visitor, the page that they went to, the time they went there, the size of that file, where they came from, and the user agent, which is typically the browser that they're using. And we come on back here, go to home, and the bandwidth is something that you can monitor here in detail over here on the left panel. Usually it's right up here close to the top. Monthly bandwidth transfer. This gives you an idea as to how much bandwidth is being used throughout the month. So at this point, obviously, there's not much to worry about because there's hardly anything. There's nothing actually even registering, because as the usage takes place, you'll get a color guide here to kind of let you know at a quick glance if you are okay, or if it's getting into the red close to the end here, that you need to make some adjustments. But that's the monthly transfer right there at a glance, and to get the details, you click on the bandwidth link there, and this can give you the traffic for today, for the past 7 days, the past 12 months, and this information can come in very handy, especially if you're running campaigns or you've got product launches, and you can get an idea as to how much bandwidth you might need for your next campaign or your next product launch, so that you're not having your visitors seeing an error page, bandwidth exceeded, which is never a good thing, and that will definitely put a damper on your day. Here's the breakdown of this month for the HTTP usage. The three options here are pretty much your email stuff, and then the FTP, and then the combined matches that total bandwidth that I just showed you on that left column on the front page. So that's the bandwidth. If we come on back home here and we check the most important one, in my humble opinion anyway, and that's the AW stats. This gives you a breakdown of all the traffic coming into your website, and you can choose the date right here for the particular report. Now, the reports, or the information contained down here, are broken down in different ways. You've got the monthly history, days of the month, and you can see the traffic here. And again, these can come in very handy if you are doing any type of product launches or campaigns to generate income. This can tell you how successful that was in driving traffic to a particular page or site, and the days of the week that are most effective to do so. I mean, if you alternate your campaigns on various days of the week, this information might tell you what would be a better day or what would be the worst days to try to start a campaign. Even the hours of the day. If you're trying to set up email marketing, you might find that sending out or scheduling your emails to be sent out at 11 a.m. might be a lot better than, say, at 7 a.m. And this takes everything into consideration, including the countries that are visiting your site. Now, since this is more of a demonstration site, these numbers are going to be skewed accordingly. At least ways now you know where you can go to get more information on the traffic coming into your site. And you've got a lot of information over here to the side that you can just simply click on to see if robots are visiting, if authenticated users are visiting, the countries, the days of the week. These are pretty much the breakdown of what we've already seen up here. You can scroll on down further to get even more information. And they all pretty much coincide with these clickable links over here. Click on this and it'll take you to this section of the report right here. So as you can see, all info junkies will love the free AW stats that come with your cPanel control panel. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on the logs panel in your cPanel control panel. Thanks for watching and you have a great day. Hello and welcome to the Introduction to cPanel. cPanel is a graphical, web-based web hosting control panel designed to simplify administration of websites. You might even hear the term GUI used from time to time to describe cPanel, and basically that just stands for Graphical User Interface. Now all this stuff means is that cPanel has a bunch of easy to recognize images to show off the different applications. Now, we're going to check these out here in just a second. Now, I'm going to guess that you already have a domain name and a web hosting account, and that web hosting account offers cPanel and not Plesk or some other type of custom control panel. Now, you can access your cPanel control panel a couple of different ways, but you're going to need to go to your browser, and in this instance, you're going to enter your domain name /cPanel, that's CPANEL, and then we're going to log in with the username and password that was sent to us by our web hosting company in that first email we got when we first bought the service. Let's go ahead and do that first. Now I've got two different tabs here because these two tabs represent two different web hosting companies that I use. And that's going to demonstrate the different look or the different applications available depending upon the web hosting company you use. So in this case, we've got our domain name in there, /. Well, you'd think I've done this before. And then type in CPANEL. And had I not just logged in earlier, I would have been presented with a login box. Let me go ahead and log out like this. And in this case, I would enter the username and the password that I received in that initial email from that web hosting service. Now, as you can see up here in the browser bar, we've got this little padlock and the HTTPS. That signifies that we are logged in securely. Now let's do the same thing over here, and a different way to log in is you type in the domain name in the browser bar like we've got there, and instead of a / in cPanel, we put a colon, that's the two dots, and then a number, either 2082, that's the unsecure login, or 2083, like this, and that's the secure login method. So let's try the 2082. And we're presented with a box, and even this one looks a little bit different than the box presented to us on that other company. And here we are. Now, another thing, in addition to being logged in not securely, which is fine for the most part, we're also left with our domain name in the browser bar. Whereas with this one here, that's logged in, or in this case, not logged in, but if it were logged in securely, it would have the server name instead of the domain name in the browser bar. Let's go ahead and log out of here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Just 2083. And we're presented with the login box where we put the username and the password. Log in. And here we are with the padlock and the HTTPS and the server name. No longer is it showing the domain name. So those are the different ways in which you can log in. Now, another way, which really isn't a way that's used very often, at least ways by me, and that is by using the IP address that is initially given to you when you first sign up with that hosting account. Because whenever you first sign up with a hosting account, you're providing them, for the most part, with a domain name that they can then attach to that hosting account. Now, instead of that domain name being immediately accessible to that hosting account, because it's got to propagate, as they call it, through the internet first, which can take a couple of days or so, instead of waiting for that, they give you, they being the web hosting company, give you an IP address that you can use to log in. Now, no matter how you log in, you're going to be presented with the same home page, the same interface. And what's going to be different, though, whether you're logged in securely or not, let's go ahead and log into here real quick. So whether you're logged in not securely or securely, you're going to be presented with the same front page, the same interface. What's going to be different, though, is the applications available, again, depending upon the web hosting service you're using. For example, just at a quick glance, if I toggle back and forth between the two, you'll see one difference is right in here, where on this account, I'm given this particular application, R1 Soft Restore Backups, and that's not available on this one. But on this one, I've got, what is that, Anonymous FTP, but not on this one. No Anonymous FTP on this one. So again, it just depends. The thing, though, is that if you see an application or you encounter an application either through this video or another video or some other means, and it's something that you might be interested in using, simply contact your web hosting company and tell them, hey, what's the worst that's going to happen? They'll say no. But a similarity between cPanels, no matter what hosting account you're going to have, is the setup. You're going to have different panels with these different applications here. And on the left side, you're going to have a column of information, the stats, and you're going to have frequently accessed areas, which you can zip to by just clicking on the links here. These are areas that I've been frequently accessing, and you can do a search here, and there might be some notices in here too. Basically, I find this is more of an advertising area than anything else for the web hosting company. But under the stats here, be familiarized with what is available here, because in some scripts that you're going to use, they might require you to know the path to SendMail or the path to Perl. So at least ways now you know where it is. You may not have to ever know what it is, but at least now you know where it is in case you need to know. And you can collapse those stats, which is usually the case by default. Now over here under the different panels you've got, you can drag these back and forth to your own personal preference. So speaking of preferences, if you find that you never use this one, stick that puppy down at the very bottom. Put one of the more frequently accessed panels closer to the top. Again, just for convenience, just for personal taste. Totally up to you. And you can also collapse these guys just to get them out of the way, like so. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video on an introduction to cPanel. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a great day.